She's saying no, but
she's mad, but she still can't even stand.
She's so wobbly.
Zhang Weili is furious.
She's upset. But 100%.
Oh, welcome in everyone to a brand new edition of Axe Kick Picks, episode 78 on this lovely Friday afternoon. Today is January the 12th, 2024. As always, I'm your host, D-Rock, and joining me from the beautiful state of South Carolina, the golf capital of the world, Joey D. Joe, how you doing today, kid?
Doing great, my man. That's hashtag AKP78. Made it to 78 episodes, starting up for the new year. And yo, just a bit of news before we get into everything. Yeah. You know how 10 seconds left last week I gave a play for the fight night for one tonight? Super Leg versus Mahmoudi. That fight got canceled. So there's a new main event, and I got Gasanov via submission because you got two submission specialists. So I got you a new main event play real quick before we start the show.
I fucking love it. Thank you so much. Yeah, got a lot to get into today. We got a ton of news that broke over the weekend. We had a little short week last week, but they made up for it this week. We got a ton of news. We're back. UFC is back in the Apex UFC Vegas 84. We'll have picks and previews a little later on. And we'll end with our 10 seconds left. Joe has some boxing plays for the main event up in Quebec City, but can't wait for that. But Joe, let's start in the boxing round. Francis Ngannou versus AJ Anthony Joshua is a done deal. We said it. Once Anthony Joshua got that job done and Joseph Parker upsetted Deontay Wilder, you know, His Excellency Turkish Akshila, he came out, they put the money where the mouth is, and it's a 10-round boxing match in Saudi Arabia in the beginning of March. It was scheduled to be the March 9th, the same day as 299, but they're actually going to do it the Friday, March 8th in Saudi Arabia. I love this. I think he's really cemented his name into the top 10, top 15 of the boxing. And I know a lot of people came out and said, I wish Francis went a different route, but I love this fight for AJ and for Francis Ngannou. What do you think?
Yeah, I do like it. Now looking at they actually confirmed everything and all systems are a go. I saw the purses. If you had seen that, I saw like Francis Ngannou is guaranteed $20 million. Is that correct?
Yeah, $20 million for Francis, $50 million for AJ. And honestly, everyone talks about, and I love Chael P. Sonnen, and everyone seems to forget, like, it doesn't matter if it flops the pay-per-views. It doesn't matter. They don't care about the pay-per-views. One, I think it actually will do well because AJ is a big star in the UK. I think it will do good there. But it doesn't even matter. They're getting the bag. They don't care.
Yeah, and this fight sets up perfectly for the winner of Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk because, you know, I'll be honest, a dream situation is for Tyson Fury to win that. And once he does, whoever comes out of this, you know, Anthony Joshua's been trying to get that fight for years now. That would be one of the, you know, biggest fights England, Great Britain has ever had between those two. And of course, if you get the second matchup between Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury, that's going to be blockbuster. So I agree with you. I don't think we should be too concerned about the pay-per-views. All it shows to me is that Francis Ngannou really fumbled the bag.
Yeah, right. He fumbled. And I don't know if you saw the video today. He's a pilot in Barcelona. He's doing God's work, this man.
Oh man, yeah. He you know, that's his way. He's being nice to you because he wants to be nice to you. Francis Ngannou, you know, I say he's the baddest man on the planet. So.
Oh, he definitely will. I can't wait for this fight. It doesn't really matter about the pay-per-view vibes. I can't wait. Training camp started for both, and the way AJ looked in this last fight in Day of Reckoning, should be a really good fight. Honestly,
the X factor from Francis, obviously, and that was with the Fury fight. But man, you know, boxing skills. You know, Anthony Joshua was an Olympic boxer starting out as a kid, and you know, he made his way to where he is now. You know, he should be a heavy favorite going into it, because the prowess of his boxing should outweigh what Francis Ngannou has in the power. But all it takes is one, man.
Yeah, and we saw it.
All it takes is one.
We saw it when he knocked down Tyson Fury, and you're right. The winner of this, no matter who it is going to verse the winner of Alexander Usyk or Tyson Fury. And that's what Francis wants. Francis wants that rematch back. He was so close the first time. So I can't wait for it. That whole weekend is going to be absurd. Just don't reach out to me. I'm going to be locked in. Our boy Raul Rojas Jr., he will take on Ricky Turcio, UFC Mexico, February 24th. You like this? It's a little step up in competition.
Ricky Turcios is a dog now. I mean, Raul Rojas, I think he has some dog in him as well. He's just young, so I don't think he's fully tapped into that potential yet. But if there's ever a guy to get you over that hump, it is a bout against Ricky Turcios because he's going to bring it. And that goes to show that Raul Rosas needs to bring it as well.
100%. I can't wait. We'll see how the cardio lasts for this one. And Rojas, if he doesn't get him out in the first round, we will see, because Ricky Tercios is a step up in competition. But I'm glad they're getting obviously, the Mexican fighters on the UFC Mexico card. Speaking of UFC Mexico, Amir Albazi is out. Out. He has a little injury, and he's taking his health obviously very seriously. But here steps in Brandon Royval. He will take on the Battle of the Brandons. I will tell you this: Brandon will come in prepared.
Which one are you talking about? I saw one of the boys like, loser changes his name to Brendan.
That's great. I didn't see that one.
No, but I think that's another barn burner as well. The flyweights always bring it, and disappoint. You can't know what happened with Amir Albazi, but just a little let down because I did have high expectations for the guy, and I do think it kind of threw a monkey wrench into plans for flyweight because now the winner of this, before it was for the number one contender spot, right? If Brandon Royval wins, does he get an immediate shot at the title? I don't necessarily think so. So my Mokaev play is becoming more of a possibility now.
That's a good call, and I was gonna ask you. I know he just got a shot, but even if he goes out and beats Brandon Moreno, do you really think the UFC is going to just put Brandon Royval right back into the title picture?
No,
I don't agree.
No. And I think it will come down to what happens tomorrow night between Matheus Nicolau and Manel Kape for the second time.
Our boy, Randy Brown is back. UFC Vegas 85, February 3rd. He will take on Muslim Selakhov.
Same opponent.
Yeah, you like this?
Yeah, right? I do. I did think they needed to run it back. The King of Kung Fu fell ill the first time around. Was it for the pay-per-view? Was it for 296?
Yeah.
So I was a little let down as well in that one because I was expecting a good opener for that event. But hey, glad it got rescheduled, and I'm expecting fireworks because we love our boy Randy Rudebaum, but man, Muslim Salikhov, you look at his record, he's got a pretty slick resume. So don't sleep on the Russian cat.
As much as I love our boy Rude Boy training out of Queens, repping Jamaica.
That's right.
This is a tough matchup for him, if I'm being honest. So we'll see how it does. But I am glad they rescheduled and ran it back. Dennis Bazooka, our boy from
Albania.
Yeah, he's taking on Sarah-Longo. Thank you. He will take on Connor Matthews, UFC Atlantic City, March 30th.
I saw that was going to be like the opening fight for the event. And, I think he's on a 2-fight skid. We've talked about that. He's a very tough and durable guy. You hear it out of the camp. I just think, he's fought some tough dudes, the guys that he's come across really tough. So I don't necessarily think Connor Matthews is a step down in competition, but now he's fighting his own backyard. I think they're trying to set him up to get a win under his belt. And, if Dennis Bazooka doesn't get this dub, I do think the UFC will part ways with him.
UFC 300, Charles "Do Bronx" Oliveira will take on Arman Tsarukyan, UFC 300. Arman Tsarukyan, according to DraftKings, Arman Tsarukyan opened up the -160 favorite. DK and Do Bronx opened up as the underdog, +135. I am actually surprised Charles took this fight. I understand he doesn't want to be inactive and he doesn't want to wait around for the champ, but you had a title fight scheduled. You got hurt, understandable, but now you have to fight to get back to the title. I'm kind of surprised he took the fight, if I'm being honest, and I'm surprised he opened up this big of an underdog.
Oh, he's absolutely alive. When it comes down to title experience, obviously against Arman Tsarukyan, who's going to have the advantage? It's going to be Charles Oliveira. I talked about there's some, story, there's some backstory with Islam and Arman wants that fight. If he really wants it, he has to do what he did to Beneil against Charles Oliveira. But that's a tall task. Like I said, Do Bronx is going to be live in that fight.
Yeah. When
it comes down to the experience, when the limelight is the brightest, he's going to be ready for it. So I would be leaning Charles Do Bronx based off experience. He does find himself, a little blood and guts, a little more of attrition. He finds himself in precarious positions, but I just feel like the line is a little wrong. I feel like you should have gone with somebody who had the title, who's been in that spot, who's kind of holding it down. And like you said, he had a fight scheduled for the title. The fact that he's kind of fighting back now, I get the hype around Arman, but I do think Charles Oliveira should have been favored.
And Dana White did come out and say this is the number one contender fight. Whoever wins will face the champ. He's dealing with an quote unquote injury, but
What about Justin Gaethje and all this?
That's the thing, Joe. What do you do with Justin Gaethje? Does he just wait around?
Man, you got me. I'll be honest with you. I have no answer for that because of the situation that you just spoke on now that Charles is fighting Arman. I don't think you give Justin the fight with Islam. I don't. I think you said it. Whoever comes out of this fight is going to get that shot. And so Justin's just waiting. I don't know.
Yeah. And now you're not going to get number 4. Oh, I will say this. Charles Oliveira, if you are leaning him as a dog, Charles Oliveira 8-4 as a betting underdog in the UFC. So he has cashed a lot as an underdog. And
how many of those were like featherweight compared to lightweight?
Oh, I don't know. I was
because I would say that the tide has turned. You know, if you those 4 losses very well could have come in the featherweight as an underdog.
Yeah,
I know as a lightweight, he's really not lost. He's lost against Islam, and am I mistaken? Anybody else?
No, not that I could recall at the top of my head. And then in the lightweight division, you're not going to run it back with Dustin Poirier because he has a fight that just scheduled in. Credit to him as well, you know, fighting down and giving an up-and-coming, dangerous, seek and destroy Benoit Saint Denis, give him an opportunity in a 5-round co-main event. I mean, I'm absolutely shocked that Dustin Poirier took this fight because the way he was talking after that loss, it didn't sound like he wanted to fight down. He wanted something that was going to get him back to the title. Age is a factor with all these guys. It is getting up there, especially with Justin Gaethje as well. So I don't know. I really don't know. And, according to DK, Benoit Saint Denis opened up the favorite -135, and you could get Dustin Poirier at +115. And if you are thinking of an underdog, Dustin Poirier 5-2 as a betting underdog in the UFC. So
I like it. I think he's live. Yeah, I do. I do think Dustin Poirier is live in that spot. But looking back, it's like he needed to kind of prove himself, and I think even though he's been contending at the top 5 of the division, BSD coming from where he is, he could easily be ranked up there. So I think the UFC threw the bag at Dustin. I do think they threw the bag at him to kind of, get him to take this fight. And I don't think there was any other way he was going to take it if he didn't get paid. They definitely had to pay him well for this because you're right. He's fighting a dangerous guy, losing a lot on the line. But I do think he's live because you've seen in the Zaleski Dos Santos fight with BSD, he fell himself trouble late rounds, and the boxing was what was, hindering him a little bit. Dustin's got some of the best boxing in all of mixed martial arts. So I think he's live. I think both dogs we just talked about are live in these situations due to experience and then the matchups because it's all about styles. Styles make fights, and I do think this is a good one. So I'm excited to see what BSD has to offer to top 5. But Dustin Poirier beats him convincingly, and I mean he's right back in the mix of it because I think that loss to Justin Gaethje did hurt his stock a little.
Yeah, I did too, and I think he needed a fight or two to get back to the title. So he knocks off a guy that the UFC's trying to build BSD, and they wouldn't be if they didn't give him Dustin Poirier. And originally after he knocked out Steamroller, he called for Dustin Poirier, and we're like, oh, maybe you're a fight or two away. But credit, he got it. He got his call, and Dana White gave it to him. And I agree. I think in order for Dustin Poirier to accept this, especially you're number 3 in the lightweight, he's number 12. It's a big jump. You know what I mean? And you got to imagine they did throw the bag at Dustin Poirier, which I think he deserves. He had his time in the UFC. So
your performances can enable your call outs to come to truth,
Yeah. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, he doesn't need the bag. He's gotten the bag multiple times fighting Conor. Regardless, I mean, at the end of the day, he deserves this. So
you ever hear a millionaire say they don't want another $1 million? Nah.
Exactly. Let's go to UFC Vegas 89. C-Rod moves down to featherweight to take on Isaac Dulgarian. Do you like this fight and the move down for C-Rod?
That Dulgarian dude could crack. So I would definitely be worried about him dropping a weight class. But, C-Rod can make that his home. So, Yeah, I am interested for that. I know a lot of people don't know Isaac Bulgarian, but coming from Dana White Contender Series, I mean, like I said, the dude can crack, absolutely can. And we know C-Rod. I think he's an all-around good 5'2" MMA fighter. I think he can do it all. And I think he did seem a little undersized in his original weight class. So the fact that he's moving down, let's see if he makes it his home.
You know, I love he trains out of the Pettis' gym in up there in
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. Yep, you gotta love it up there.
Rufus Sport, baby.
And then we got 2 fights for UFC 299. I mean, this fucking card is loaded top
It's
to
looking more
bottom.
stacked than 300 right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And everyone has these expectations for UFC 300. Don't. Honestly, don't, because it's not going to live up to everything. And I think Dana White is playing it a little, got a big announcement. And then
Power slap.
Yeah, exactly. So be cautious. He's playing you guys, I think, a little. So don't think, UFC 300 is going to be all this almighty card. Look at UFC 297, 298, and 299 are all fucking bangers. So
yeah.
Michel Pereira will take on Michel Oleksiejczuk. I think that's a banger of a fight. And then Josh Parisian gets the Frenchman that is all the hype. It's the one we talked about where all of his fights meant
Champagne or Spain.
Spain, yes. So UFC 299, those 2 fights were announced. And look at top to bottom. It might be a 6-fight main card. Honestly, you obviously got the champ fighting Chito Vera, Sean O'Malley. You got Dustin Poirier, BSD, Gilbert Burns. There's 3 named Jack Della Maddalena. You got the Kevin Holland welcoming in Michael Venom Page. Everyone's forgetting that.
Knocker.
You got Curtis Blades and Jail Time. Chica Casey taking on my girl, Macy Barber. You got Matus Gamrot, RDA, Piotr Yan, and Sang Yadong, Pedro Munoz, Kyler Phillips.
Damn, dude.
You got bangers of a fight. I mean, from 1 to 10, how are you rating this card, kid?
It's right up there, man. It's close to a 9. I'll be honest. I'll give decimal points, probably like an 8.5. But it comes down to how the event actually takes place. On paper, that's what it looks like. Yeah. And going back to those fights, man. I'll be honest with you, that Michel Pereira versus Michel Oleksiejczuk, that fight could have been higher in the card. It looks like it's opening up the prelims, or is the featured early prelim. I don't know exactly what that was placed as. And if you go back to the other fight, the one you mentioned, it was the Despain, right? The Spain fight. You don't put a lot of stock in a guy who really has less than a minute of total cage time, but I really do think that he's going to win under 30 seconds. I really do.
Are you not a believer of Josh Parisian anymore?
No, that's my point is that Josh Parisian, he's been there, done that. He's 5'2" player. We don't know exactly what Despain can do in there besides throw strikes. So, if he gets taken down, he may look like a fish out of water there, but we got to see it to believe it. And what I've seen is this dude icing people under 30 seconds.
A guy we just saw a few weeks ago, Shamel Gaziev. Gaziev. He will take on Josinho Rosenstrike in UFC Saudi Arabia March 2nd.
Step up.
That's a big step up.
I think the UFC seeing this new wave of fighters come in and they're thinking that, like, you know what? They're actually higher level than we think. So let's test them. And that's what they're doing. And I like it. I think the fans are enjoying it. And I think the UFC is liking the different matchmaking they're presenting.
We got another fight for UFC Atlantic City as well. Angel Pacheco will take on Cal Lachane, the Irishman, who's an up-and-coming guy. You like this for Cal Lachane?
That one flew under the radar for me. I had high hopes for him his first time out, but he lost by decision pretty convincingly. So
he got kind of beat up, I thought.
Yeah, he did. And, I think his prowess was that knockout capability, but, he didn't really show no threats in that first fight. I'm worried for this next one.
UFC Vegas 87, our boy Brian Battle will take on Angel Lusa March 16th at the Apex. I like this fight for Brian Battle. I think this is a good.
It's official. No more Pooh Bear. Yep. We got the Butcher, Brian Battle, baby.
I fucking love it. What a fucking nickname, the Butcher.
It fits.
Yeah, and who we'll also see in Atlantic City March 30th. Chidi Njukongwe will take on Reese McGee. You like this?
Oh, Chidi Njokuani. Anthony Njokuani's brother.
Yeah.
And then who's he fighting?
Reese McGee.
Okay, McGee is savvy on the ground, but the last time I saw him out, it's spelt like Rise, like the guy from the
RHYS. Yeah.
So, Yeah, I had him winning the last time. He burnt me there. In Njokuani, he's got that knockout power. I think I would be leaning in Njokuani, just because if we can't get it on the ground for Reese, he's gonna be in for a long night.
I just hope the cardio for Chidi just holds up in this fight. Hopefully we'll see a barn burner. Also, UFC Atlantic City, Gilbert Burns' brother, Hubert Burns, will take on Julio Arce, March 30th, 145 pounds. You like this fight?
I'm going with our locals, man. Tiger Showman, baby. Julio Arce, get it back in the UFC, because I'm pretty sure he stepped away from the organization and
first
got right
fight back in the UFC.
Let's go. He'll make a name for himself once again. Julio Arce, baby.
And then UFC Vegas 87, March 16th, Diego Moises will take on our boy Brad Riddell. I like this matchup for Brad.
Yeah, long layoff. I think the last time we seen him, he had spinning wheel knocked out by Fiziev. So a good matchup to get back on track here, but a tough one at that for both opponents.
And then UFC 300, Chinese versus Chinese. Strawweight champion Zhang Weili will take on Zhang Shenao. UFC 300, the first title that will be on the line for UFC 300.
Finally.
First ever Chinese versus Chinese. I mean, we saw her back at UFC 285 in Newark live, where she knocked out Jessica Andrade, and she got a title shot off of that knockout with Zhang Shenao. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, she saved the card. I mean, really, all hail Yan Zhao Nan. But man, I think we got robbed of this fight in China. I think it would have been cool in like Shanghai or somewhere in the West. It would be dope. But man, I don't know what to expect. I really think that that's going to come into play. The fact that Weili Zhang's fighting her fellow nation member. So I don't know what to expect in this. I don't have any leans right now. I'm gonna have to look into the fight a little more. Yeah. But I'm very excited for this. They both deserve it, and I hope Yao Zhanan brings it. She normally does.
Yeah,
and she really hasn't really let anyone down as of yet. So I'm expecting a really good, high technical fight, and whoever wins at the end of the day, China's going to be the winner.
Honestly, I'm just surprised. Are you surprised they didn't try to? They put Alexa Grasso and Zhang Weili together and try to fight and unify it and maybe become double champion?
After the fact?
No, like before Yan Zhenan.
Nah, because I think the UFC already has a match made between them. I think
yeah.
I do think we're going to get Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko maybe on 300 or something.
Interesting. Looking at the UFC 300 card, obviously you got the one title fight, Zhang Zhenan taking on Zhang Weili. You got Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, Yuri Prohaska, Alexander Rakic. Aljo taking on Calvin Keita, Bo Nickel, Cody Brundage. And we just got another fight. Davison Figueiredo will take on Cody Garbrandt. Cody Garbrandt called his shot. He got it. I don't know if I like it for Cody No Chin Garbrandt.
Relax.
I think
that's Goat Brand.
I think he gets rolled here, if I'm being honest.
I'll be honest, if Cody can work on the game plan based around how Figgy throws his strikes, he can absolutely win this fight. It's just getting connected by those fights. Getting connected by Figgy is gonna be a problem. That's the thing. But I think there's an absolute way to work around Figgy's striking. Yeah. How he loads up a lot. If you can just kind of time it, not fall for much feints, as he doesn't really throw them. It's more of like keeping his hands down and just like the shoulder, it really seems like he's going to throw, and then he loads up a shot. So I do feel like if Cody Garbrandt's footwork's on point and he's really focused in that one, he could come out victorious. But then again, if Figgy, does a performance of the night, a knockout in the first round, something like that. I mean, we were saying that if he fought Peter Yan, he'd be right there for a title shot. I don't know if beating Cody Garbrandt gets you a title shot, but Figgy's going to be one fight away. And that's my opinion about Cody Garbrandt. If he beats Figgy, he's also one fight away from a title shot.
I just think the power really resonates when he moved up from flyweight to bantamweight for Davison Figueiredo. I thought his cardio was on point when he versed Rob Font a few months back. I just think his all-around game, he has more ways to win on the ground. And just the power. I know if Cody connects, he might have a puncher's chance, but I just don't see him actually really connecting. I think he's too fast, Davis and Figueiredo, and I don't know. I just think this is a bad matchup, and I don't even know why he would honestly agree to it. Like, you're fighting down. You just got done being number 9 Rob
Huge
Font.
name. That's why I'm saying Cody has that pool, bro. He wins against Figgy. He gets one more fight, and he's in the title picture.
Yeah.
I'll be real with you.
But you got to imagine, though, right? UFC 299, as of right now, it's a much better card than UFC 300.
As of now, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it may wind up being regardless of who's announced for the main event or the other title fights, because I think we're pretty much going to get Leon and Bilal on that.
Why is everyone so sad about that?
No, Bilal deserves the shot, but I'm just saying is that, you know, if that was the only title fight on 300,
oh no, that'd be bad.
Exactly. That is just my point. Like
no, I agree, but I don't understand why people online are so upset that.
Oh man, it's just the personalities of them. But if we look them as fighters, we're getting one of the highest level fights in all of mixed martial arts, not just the UFC. How sharp Leon has looked and the way Bilal has been beating people. I know you say he's going to decision a lot, but he's dominating. He is. So the fact is this fight is going to be technically, and there's history to, it's going to be one of the better fights of the year, in my opinion. I know people don't like their personalities, but as fighters, they're as the purest form of martial arts as you can get.
100%. Can't wait for that. And I saved the best for last. She's in our intro song, but Thug Rose returns. UFC Fight Night, March 23rd at 125 pounds against Amanda Ribas. I love this fucking bounce back spot for Rose Namajunas.
I love that. But please get Pat Barry out of her corner. Please, Trevor Whitman.
That's her girl.
But bro, he don't know what he's talking about. Trevor Whitman is her head coach. Let him coach her.
Yeah. No, I get it. And you would think training up there in Colorado in elevation, she would have the advantage cardio wise, but it didn't seem like that against Manel Fior, her last fight.
Yeah, you would suspect that the elevation would help, but maybe for her coming off of elevation is better rather than fighting at elevation, even though she's training there. So
yeah, should be very interesting, but I can't wait for March. March is going to be a jam-packed month.
Loaded.
Got Francis Ngannou and Anthony Joshua. You got UFC 299. You got the return of Thug Rose. You got UFC Atlantic City. You got UFC Saudi Arabia. It's going to be an amazing. You got March Madness. It's going to be a hell of a thing.
Loaded
but
month.
Joey, thank you so much. New sponsor alert. I wanted to get a little drum roll, but no little drum roll. But new sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs. It's bringing you an offer that will help you make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Right now, you got the NFL playoffs going on. First game is Saturday. Cleveland Browns, they're on the road taking on Texans. Browns -2 on the road. So all the action on DK right now. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook now and use code AXECAKEPICKS. New customers can bet just $5 and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only DraftKings Sportsbook code, use AXECAKEPICKS. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem calling. Call 888-789-777 or visit cpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void, prohibited in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after insurance. See DKNG.com. Splash Football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. Thank you to DraftKings for believing in us. And Joe, let's get to it. UFC Vegas 84. We are back in the Apex. Prelims start a little earlier this week. Prelims start at 4 p.m. Main card a little earlier. Going up against the NFL playoffs. 7 p.m. start time for the main card. Take it away, kid.
Something's telling me that UFC is going to hurt the NFL's ratings tonight. Tomorrow night. I have a feeling. Something's telling me. But let's go into UFC Vegas 84. I'm sure there's other names that they call this event. I've seen ESPN, I've seen Fight Night, 220, whatever. So I like calling it by Vegas 84 because they're, like you said, back in the Apex. So we got the flyweight starting us up Felipe Bruno at plus 195 is taking on Joshua Van with a quick turnaround at minus 238. Don't have an official play for you, but I will be leading Josh Van because that previous performance, he broke the body shot record. So I think it's a good lean. We'll take our way to the lightweights with Tom Nolan, Dana White Contender Series alum, at minus 325, taking on Nicholas Mauda at plus 260. You know, Mauda coming off that vicious knockout and then a no contest prior. I do think the dog does make sense here. I did like what I saw to Tom Nolan, but I don't have an official play, but I will be leaning Dana White Contender Series, Tom Nolan. So my second lean there. And then we'll go right into the third bout of UFC Vegas 84, which is in the featherweights. We got Weston Wilson at plus 650, taking on another Dana White Contender Series alum, John Silva, at minus 1,000. All the way leaning John Silva on this. I just like his pedigree, his capabilities on the ground, and he's shown that he can bang. So got to lean on him, but there's no value if you do take him as a play. So with the next fight at the bantamweight division, Farid Basharat at minus 278 does take on French's Taylor Lapilus at plus 225. And looking in, I did thought Taylor Lapilus was live, but he's the one who took on Kyle Lone before, and I think it was more of Lone not having the level of Lapilus. But then I think Basharat has a higher level than him. I think the line is right. So once again, I'll be leaning the favorite. So just to get it off my chest, those leans, if you do want to put them in a parlay because they are very chalky, all of them are favorites, I got you at plus 178 for a 4-leg parlay. Just wanted to let you know. Let's go right into my first play of the evening, which will be taking place in the bantamweight division. We got Marcus McGee at minus 258, taking on Gaston Bolaños, the Dream Killer, at plus 210. Man, Marcus McGee has looked vicious, bro. He's brutal in there. You know, his performances that we've seen in the past, he can knock people out and get them out of there easily. But Gaston Bolaños, bro, you know where I'm going with this. I saw that flag, baby. And if you ever think I was going to take Marcus McGee, I would have probably lost this one. So I'm going to go with Peruvian's Gaston Bolaños. I think at plus 210, it's got good value on there. He's very skilled. I've seen him in his Bellator career. You know, he's got a couple losses there, but they were tough fights, man. And I just like the capability of this dude. I do think he's talented. I think he's a sleeper in this one. I really do. Throughout the whole card, he's probably one of the bigger dogs. So he's worth taking a look. You know, we all like Marcus McGee and what he can do. You know, I think he's more rugged. He's like one of those guys, but I think Gaston Bolaños is more talented. So I'll be taking the dog as my first play of 2024. Gaston Bolaños, the Peruvian, baby.
You got to take the Peruvian kid.
Exactly. First play of 2024. So let's go right into the next bout. And it'll be in the welterweight division. We got Matthew, the Jedi, Semmelsberger at minus 130, taking on Pressure Preston Parsons at plus 110. D, I'll pass it over to you. What you got?
Yeah, let's start with the total, Joe. Give me the over 1.5 rounds, minus 175. Semi the Jedi. Last 5 fights have all reached the third round, whether it ended or not. And with Parsons, 2 of his last 3 fights have reached the third round as well. I think the first round's going to be out sort of a feel out round, and then we get over this 1.5, maybe even enter the third once again. 2 tough, very durable fighters. Give me the over 1.5 rounds at minus 175.
Man, as tempting as that was, I got to think this is going to break the trend. I got under 1.5 rounds in this one at plus 130. You look at their finishes, Matthew Semmelsberger's, most of them are KO, TKO, and Preston Parsons, most of them come via submission. So I'm thinking within the first round, when they're dry, the submissions are likely. And if he doesn't get there, I haven't really seen him throw leg locks up. He's more like his name states, a pressure kind of jiu-jitsu guy. But if he gets caught in the bottom, don't doubt Semi the Jedi throwing bombs on him when he's down below. And so the fight can end early. But I like the fact that we're on both opposite sides of this one. Now let's go to the featured prelim. And it's the return of the Pitbull, Andrei Arlovski, man. Huge dog, bro. Plus 470. He's taking on Elvis's cousin, Waldo Cortez Acosta, minus 650. Huge favorite. I can see there's reason to it. I'll give you my play real quick. As opposed to the previous fight, I do think there's a chance that this goes over and possibly makes the judges' scorecards. So the safer bet for me is just over 1.5 at minus 140. If Arlovski is live for a decision play at plus 900, the over 1.5 is absolutely live, and it's a safer bet than it going to decision or judges scorecards.
Yeah, give me Elvis's cousin, Waldo Cortez Acosta. We know he has the power. And Andrei Arlovski, he's been finished in his last 2 fights. Age is a factor. I mentioned it earlier in the show, and I think it is catching up to him. I think when Cortez Acosta throws that right hand cross, kind of like his fastball, it's gonna fucking put him away. So let's make it 3 fights in a row. Give me Waldo Cortez Acosta to win via KO TKO at -175.
3 fights in a row, you took him?
No, I'm saying 2 fights in a row that Andrei Arlovski has been finished. Let's make it 3.
I get you. All right. So that'll do it for the prelims of UFC Vegas 84, and let's get right to the first
By
fight.
the way, real quick, Joe, this card is going under the radar for Apex card. This is a really good card, I thought.
Oh, absolutely is. Like from start to finish, the guys that you don't really know about, they're warriors, and they bring it every time. Semmelsberger, he's like kill or be killed, and Arlovski and Cortez Acosta, they're big boys in there. So,
and I'll stand on this. We'll talk about it in a sec, but this co-main event could be a fucking main event.
We could have fight of the year contender as a first card back. So
exactly,
I agree with you, man. Let's go right into it. I don't think we're going to expect Pat Barry or Dylan Dennis in his corner, but for the middleweights, you got Phil Hawes at +110 taking on the Hulk, Bruno Ferreira at -130. And I'll give you my play. I got to go with the favorite. I haven't liked what I've seen out of Phil Hawes as of late. Prior to his losing streak, he got under DC's skin, and maybe that's why he went on a losing skid. You don't talk to DC like that, man. So you're gonna pay for it one another. If it doesn't come out in a wash, it'll certainly come out in the rinse. So I got to go with the Hulk here. I know he got knocked out by Ozdabek or Nerdzimov, or that's his first and last name combined. But I think that dude is actually sneaky. These dudes coming over from international waters, man, they're different, bro. So I think Haya is better than Hawes, and I'll be taking him straight up on the money line at -130.
Yeah, Phil Hawes, he's been one of the most frustrating fighters to handicap, but I do like him here as a dog in this fight, +110 over on DraftKings. He has all the potential in the world, but he has had some setbacks. You mentioned the whole with DC as well. I think he has the tools to win this fight. He has the power. He has better wrestling, but for whatever reason, it seems like his chin is made of glass. Excuse me. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Ferreira, and I think Hawes can use his wrestling and take this fight over. Ferreira is not a threat off of his back, and Hawes might be fighting for his job. If he goes out and loses this fight, I don't know if he has a job at the UFC anymore. So he has to use his wrestling. He has to be smart, get him on his back, hold him there, and just walk out of there with the win. Give me the dog, Jersey Zone, Phil Hawes, +110.
Megatron. I like that, my man. Glad we're on opposite sides once again. Let's get into the bantamweights. We got Ricky Simone, or Simon, if you would, at -180, taking on Mario Batista at +150. D, you got to play in this?
Is it Simone or Simon? How do you correctly pronounce it?
I've known it as Ricky Simone. That's how I've known it. I only said Simon because I remember Sean O'Malley coming out. Simon, where you at?
Okay. You did a bit. Okay. I honestly think this is one of the most interesting fights in the card, if I'm being honest, in my opinion. But I do like Ricky Simone here. I took him on the money line, -190. He's above that right now at DK, -192. A little chalky. Maybe throw him in one of your parlays, but I do think this is a big step up in competition with Mario Batista. I think the one worry I have with backing Mario Batista is that he gets taken down way too easy for my liking. Ricky Simone is just a different beast, great cardio, has really good takedowns, and I think he controls the fight from start to finish. I think the experience really puts him over the hump as well. So give me pretty Ricky, baby, straight up on the money line, -190.
I'm surprised we're on opposite sides once again, my man, but I like it. I look at Mario Batista, I look at his resume, and I like what I see. His losses have come to Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen is a dangerous weapon out there. And Trevin Jones, who's don't get fun with Trevin Giles. Trevin Jones, I think, is a little better. But it was controversial, his decision win over Damon Blackshear. It was a unanimous win where people said it could have been split or it could have gone to Blackshear altogether. But I do like Mario Batista. I like the MMA lab. I think he's getting, iron sharpens iron. I think he's getting some of the best training in the world at the MMA lab with Sean O'Malley and some of the other guys there. So I'm on, like I said, I'm on the opposite side in this one. I'm going to go with Mario Batista. As much as I do like Ricky Simone as well, I'm going to take the dog. I do think there's some value in him. I know if he does get taken down, it may be for a long night, but if he's the one doing the taking down, which Ricky Simone is a big guy, if he can get him down, that'll be, convincing enough to me that he can win this fight in the distance or on the judges' scorecards once again. So I'll take Batista at plus 150.
I love it.
All right, my man. And we go to the featured bout of the main card, which is the Warthog A10 Jim Miller, baby, at minus 135, taking on Magli Gabriel Benitez at plus 114. And don't sleep on my boy Magli Benitez, but you can't sleep on Jim Miller either. You know what, he came out into the press conference talking before UFC Vegas 84. He's like, for UFC 300, I want to get there, and I want to be introduced by Bruce Buffer as Jim fucking Miller. And I hope to God he makes it. But I'll give you my play. Man, I don't know if a lot of people know about Magli Benitez. I think he's been off for a little while, but the dude is a savage. Jim Miller is one too. I don't think people are looking at it, but I do think these guys are durable enough and game enough to make it to the judges' scorecard. So I have the fight going the distance at plus 200.
Can we just praise the Jersey legend for a second, Joe? 42nd UFC fights is a UFC record. 25 UFC wins. That's a UFC record. 17 finishes, second most, right behind Do Bronx with 20. 11 submission wins, tied second with Damian Maia. And 14 bonuses, tied for fifth. Anderson Silva has the most. So this man made his debut back in 2008. And just continues to win the fight. And I like him here in this fight. Small favorite, minus 148 over on DraftKings. I'm going to take him on the money line. I can't believe he opened up as the underdog, but quickly moved towards the favorite. I think Jim Miller's looked pretty good in his last few fights. He's fighting Gabriel Benitez, he has really good kicks. He has dangerous leg kicks, but his cardio is not as good as a lot of people think, and he isn't the most durable fighter when he gets into the later rounds. Jim, he has the fight IQ. He is smart enough to use his striking, keep his distance, and then get the fight to the ground. And I think Jim Miller gets it done, and I would even sprinkle Jim Miller via submission at plus 330 over at DraftKings. It's a long shot, but I do think he takes him down, and I think he could submit him. But if you don't like that, take him straight up on the money line, minus 148. But Jim Miller, let's walk out of there. No injuries, and we're off to UFC 300, baby.
That's right. Yo, I love that play. That the via submission for Jim Miller is live. And man, he's like a ton of bricks when he gets on top, bro. His pressure game, his jiu-jitsu is so good. Man, he's teaching the next generation of fighters up there at Miller Bros. So, I mean, Jim Miller is the truth, man. We can't deny that, man. And I'll say it to DC. I'll talk to DC. Jim Miller's a Hall of Famer.
First ballot. I don't know what the whole hoopla is.
I get it with like maybe those who have been around for a while and haven't accomplished the things that Jim Miller. I can understand that. Just being around, understandable. But Jim Miller hasn't just been around. He's been accomplishing all those things you mentioned, the longevity. I want to see the fight duration, the amount of time he's been in the octagon. I bet you it's high up there. You can't take anything away from Jim Miller. The fact that he was there almost since the beginning and is made his way all the way to 300 healthy, pretty much, that speaks for itself too.
Yeah, 100%. I think the longest duration in the octagon is Frankie Edgar. I'm trying to
Rafael dos Anjos has the most fight time in the octagon.
Yeah, Clay Guida has to be in there as well. I mean,
get that up real quick. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
My call is number 1, Rafael dos Anjos, most fight time in the octagon. Number 2, Frankie Edgar, and number 3, I'd go with like.
You're right. Total fight time, Rafael dos Anjos is number 1 with 8 hours, 26 minutes, and 49 seconds. Second is Frankie Edgar, 7 hours, 57 minutes, and 10 seconds. Do you know who number 3 is?
I'm thinking he's active. Yeah. I said heavyweight. I guess I got to go John Jones. It's not going to be him.
No. John Jones not even in the top 10. It's Max Holloway, 7 hours, 26 minutes, and 10 seconds. Fourth,
he's just entering his prime.
Yeah. Fourth, Clay Guida, 6 hours, 59 seconds, 59 minutes, 36 seconds. Fifth, Damian Maia, 6 hours, 49 minutes, 40 seconds. And Jim Miller, 6 hours, 43 minutes, and 19 seconds.
I see it winding up being RDA at 1.
Max 2.
Max at 2. There's a chance now Jim Miller passes Frankie.
And Clay's still active. Let's not sleep on my boy.
That's true, bro. Both of them up there. That's enough.
Yeah. Let's go to the co-main.
Exactly. Co-main event are in the flyweight division between Matheus Nicolau plus 220 taking on Manel Kape at minus 270. I think the line's right. I think what we've seen out of Kape before, after the first fight between Nicolau, has proved him to be the favorite in this one. But the first time they fought, Nicolau won on a split decision. So I'll give you my play. I got Nicolau again the second time. You know, I like people who may have other fighters' number. And at plus 220 in the co-main event slot, I think he's live. I think this is going to be a closer fight than people are expecting. We talked about it before. This could very well go down as fight of the year for the first event of the year, 2024.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we got a rematch here. And surprisingly enough, Manel Kape, he started 0-2 in his UFC career. And one of those losses was a split decision to Matheus Nicolau. Since then, Manel Kape has been on a roll. Matheus Nicolau, he's very good. He's tough, well-rounded. And I do think the odds are a little off because he did get knocked out in his last fight against Brandon Royval by a flying knee. But I'm going to go to the total round market here. I'm going to take the over 2.5 rounds at minus 125. We saw Manel Kape in his last fight. He has the power to knock you out, but I think he's kind of showed us that he could put his ego to the side a little bit and put on a clinic and go the full distance and go full 3 rounds. Manel Kape just needs to go out there, get a dominant unanimous decision win. And I think if he does that, and he's done it in the past, I think he could be next in line for a title shot. Before that Brandon Royval fight, Matheus Nicolau, he's never been finished in the UFC. I think he is a very durable fighter. I think we see all 3 rounds. I actually think Manel Kape wins this rematch, but official play is going to be over 2.5 rounds at minus 125.
Very nice. Very nice. I like that. I mean, anything can happen, and now the doors are wide open for that flyweight division. So, yeah. Telling you, probably the most entertaining division. Maybe not the, I do think their talent level's there. We could say bantamweight's like depth, maybe, but in terms of entertainment value, I don't think you're getting it better anywhere else other than the flyweight division. Excuse me.
They fly around. No pun intended.
That's right. Let's go right into the main event of UFC Vegas 84, light heavyweight division, which is between Magomed Ankalaev at minus 550 against Johnny Walker at plus 410. Johnny Walker, in my opinion, is live. I just think it's a do or die situation here. So I'll give you my play. I think Ankalaev does win in round 1 at plus 215. Odds for him to win in round 1 via KO TKO are plus 225 on DraftKings. So I think it was a safer bet just to say that he could possibly sneak in a guillotine submission or so. It's not his game, but with Johnny Walker, anything's possible. But so is a Johnny Walker flying knee. So I take this with a grain of salt. I'm just giving you what I think could happen because it's happened before to Ankalaev with a no contest or a whatever, and then had to come back and got that win against Ian Kudalaba. I think it could repeat itself here against Johnny Walker. So once again, I got Magomed Ankalaev, round 1 win at plus 215 via DraftKings Sportsbook.
Yeah, very interesting fight, in my opinion. Very interesting year for Magomed Ankalaev. You had that no contest with Johnny Walker, illegal knee. You had the title draw. Like, very, very interesting year for Magomed Ankalaev. And I do think he has all the tools, dating back to what I said with our future. I do think he has all the tools to become the champion in this division. I think Johnny Walker will have to tap into all of his tools and try to defeat Magomed and maybe become a little reckless here, because I just think he's at a very big disadvantage. I think Magomed Ankalaev has a very high fight IQ, and I really believe the winner of this fight gets a title fight. My official play, I'm going back to the total round market. Give me over 1.5 rounds at minus 180, because as much as Magomed Ankalaev is dangerous, he usually doesn't force or push the pace. If he lands something, he will go in and be controlled. We saw it. He stunned Johnny Walker the first time. I don't know if Johnny Walker was actually stunned. He tried to throw a flying knee afterwards, but he's very calm and controlled when he does stun his opponent. Walker has to come out and, he has come out and said he's going to be more patient in this fight. And to be honest, I kind of believe him, because we've seen a more patient Johnny Walker. We saw it in Charlotte, you and I, and ever since moving to Ireland and training under John Kavanagh, I think he's been a more patient fighter than being a little more reckless. So I think the fight goes deeper than a lot of people think, maybe even the 3rd or 4th round, but over 1.5 rounds at minus 180 is my official pick. And I do think Magomed Ankalaev walks out there as the winner.
Wonderful. And that'll do it for UFC Vegas 84. I think it's a great card to get us going for the new year. And I think after this, we're full steam ahead to UFC 297. Am I wrong?
Oh, no, you are not wrong as well. We are headed up to the 6th, Toronto next week for UFC 297. Can't wait for that. Before 10 seconds left in a little boxing picks from Joey, a quick word from our sponsor. We are brought to you each and every episode by Viva Tequila Seltzer, the most refreshing hard seltzer on the market, hands down. There's no wonder why Viva was voted #1 hard seltzer in the world by San Francisco World Spirit Competition. With only 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a light 4.5 ABV, Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebration, as it was created with that active lifestyle in mind. We favor tequila seltzer because flavor is the spice of life, and we like our drinks with just a kick, just like how we like our lives. Whether it's Huckleberry playing a round of golf with the boys or an elderberry on a Saturday watching UFC Vegas 84, it doesn't matter. Our favorites pair perfectly with our Artisanal Blanco tequila for that subtle and refreshing drink. Our belief here at Axe Kick Picks and at Viva is to live long, live well, and live it up. All right, Joe, 10 seconds left. We're going up to Canada, Quebec City, correct?
That's absolutely right. Yeah, and it's going under the radar as well. You know, I really think this should be a highly anticipated boxing matchup between Artur Beterbiev and Callum Smith. Callum Smith is high caliber, and he can absolutely win this. I just think that if he doesn't get it done early, Artur Beterbiev with that knockout prowess can get it done late. So I did take Artur Beterbiev 7 through 12 rounds, KO TKO at +110 via DraftKings Sportsbook.
Wasn't this fight supposed to happen a few months ago? And Artur Beterbiev not kind of withdrew, but like they kind of delayed it until January. Why?
Yeah.
Do you know
I don't
why?
know. I think I don't necessarily think it was like a weight cutting issue or anything. I didn't hear too much if it was like an injury. It might have been like, like personal or like travel, logistics. It could have been something like that because, like you said, they are fighting in Canada. So I don't know necessarily if his visas like passed through into Canada. That's all.
It's going to be a banger of a fight. I think it is going low key under the radar, but make sure you guys watch that. And yeah, going to be a banger of a fight. By the way, news that just broke about 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
The Amanda Ribas Rose Namajunas is the main event for UFC Vegas 88. It's a 5-round main event, and Rose is staying at 125. Surprised it's the main event?
No, I actually like it. I'm waiting for the Holly Holm main event. No, but 5 rounds favors Rose Namajunas.
100%. Joey, thank you so much. Good luck this weekend. Let's get back on the roll. It's going to be a great 2024. I can't wait for it. That's going to do it for this Friday edition of Axe Kick Picks. On behalf of our sponsor, DraftKings and Viva Tequila, Joey, I am D-Rock. We'll see you guys next week. Big pay-per-view week in the 6th. So make sure you guys follow along our social media, X and Instagram at AxeKickPicks. You guys can find all of our episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. We go live every Friday afternoon on YouTube, youtube.com/AxeKickPicks. Make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, rate, give us a review. Leave in the comments who you guys will be betting on this week. All that good stuff really helps the show grow tremendously. So be a friend, tell a friend. Everyone, good luck on your wagers this weekend. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you guys down the road. Peace!